Welcome back to another episode of the Real Friends podcast. We are here with someone brand new today. Tony, what's going on, man?
Not much. We just got finished watching Primal Fear, and it was awesome.
Yeah, when I asked you if you wanted to come on, you said this is the movie you wanted to review. So let's talk about that for a minute. Why is this the one you chose?
I don't know. I mean, I think it just had a great impact, you know, throughout my time and stuff, watching movies and stuff. I think that this is one of the greatest movies I've ever watched.
So this came out in 1996.
So
I was 1 year old.
I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 years after I graduated.
So yeah, and this is, you didn't realize until I told you earlier, this was Edward Norton's first movie. And what a job this guy did.
Yeah, he is just he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Edward Norton's great. This is probably between this and Fight Club are his two iconic roles.
I like Rounders too.
Oh, Rounders is
Rounders
good.
is good.
Yeah, Rounders is good. I mean, he's mostly good in everything. He was good in A Complete Unknown.
He was
Um,
good in The Incredible Hulk. I wish they
no,
would have
sure.
kept him on.
I think he didn't want to. I think
I
that's what
think
it
that's
was.
exactly
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, but cool. Well, let's hop right into it. So, Primal Fear. This is a courtroom. I don't know, what would you call it? Psychological thriller.
Psychological thriller. Yeah,
Yeah.
drama slash psychological thriller.
Yeah, so the basic premise of the movie is that an archbishop in the Catholic Church is murdered, and they believe it's one of the altar boys, Aaron, played by Edward Norton. A big time attorney, Martin Vale, played by Richard Gere, decides, I'm going to try to defend this kid rather than a public defender, and I'm going to do it pro bono because I want to.
The
I don't
pub
know.
the publicity. Yep.
Yeah. Which we talked about. It already seems like he's, very well known. So not sure how much more publicity he needs, but
Just a high profile case, probably.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, hop in whenever you want. I'll just kind of go chronologically with it.
Yeah.
So the very beginning, we have a pretty cool voiceover where they do a thing in this movie where Martin Vale is being interviewed by someone, and it gives us a lot of the background of Martin Vale, right? And so he's talking about how he's asked, like, what do you do if you know a defendant is guilty? And and Martin Vale's like, I don't care. He's like, every single person is entitled to defense. I don't care. And if that doesn't give you a good idea of what we're about to see, like, I don't know what will.
Yeah, he said that he wouldn't even mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy because, like, he kind of goes against that with this case because he's continually saying over and over again, I don't think he did it.
Exactly. I mean, right from the start, you think that he's a slime ball.
Hmm.
I mean, everything. I mean, and everybody thinks he's a slime ball too.
Yeah.
I mean, even the prosecuting attorney and everybody.
Yeah. Who happens to be his ex-girlfriend.
One night
Um,
stand, as
yeah.
she would put it.
Yeah. That
7 months.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And then, so we go through all that and he's getting ready for a dinner. So he goes to this dinner, and what's cool about the dinner is we don't really meet anyone, but it shows us everyone that's going to be involved in this movie. Like, you see Aaron, you see the Archbishop, you see Shaughnessy, you see, the prosecuting attorney, like, you just see everyone. So yeah, then that happens, and then we see pretty quickly again how slimy Martin Vale is. Like, he goes in to talk to, what did you say his position was, Shaughnessy?
The district attorney.
Yeah, the DA, and he gets his client Joey Pinheiro off for something. We don't know what it was, I don't think, but he gets him off for something. Um, and we come to find out Joey's going to be pretty important later on. Um,
Yes, yeah, very, very important later on.
Yeah. And so right after, Martin gets Joey off and he goes to tell Joey about what had happened, um, we snap to the church, and we see the Archbishop get brutally murdered.
Yeah, what stabbed 78 times.
Yeah. And I'm kind of glad we didn't see every stab. What we see is he goes to reach for his ring and he gets his hand cut
And
off.
cut off.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
you see, the mailman outside doing all the crashing and crazy stuff.
They also they do like pan to him lying there with his eyes gouged out and stuff like
Hmm.
that. You see all that.
Yeah,
So all
it's
the
brutal.
scars and yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
brutal.
very brutal.
I mean, even later in the movie when Janet, the prosecuting attorney, she goes when she's um, berating Aaron pretty much. She continually says, "I'm gonna if I was to stab somebody 78 times," and she starts, using that motion.
Yeah. Um, so, shortly after this, we go to Martin again, and he's in a bar talking to the interviewer. And they see on the TV that someone is fleeing the scene of the crime, and it's Aaron covered in blood running away from the cops.
Running down the train tracks.
Yeah.
Yep. Almost gets hit by the train too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the train
Yeah.
comes by and he dives off the other side. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really love it reminds me of Rocky Horror Picture Show with the criminologist, how we're always snapping to him to kind of keep us grounded. That's what the interviewer feels like. Like he's constantly just keeping us grounded in the movie to remind us that, hey, Martin Vale's kind of a piece of crap. Don't forget. Um, so, as soon as the cops catch up to Aaron and they arrest him, Martin Vale goes to the jail to meet with him. And like I said earlier, he offers to take the case pro bono. Um, we it's interesting they present here the idea of lost time. Like that's what he always calls it when he blacks out.
Yeah, the blackouts.
Yeah. Yeah. Which he says he has spells, which it's
Yes.
pretty interesting because, having seen this movie once before, like it, right? But the amount of hints towards the actual twist of the movie
Yes.
is kind of insane the second time through.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, he says he quoted a quote on him. I blacked out. I have spells. I can't remember nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then immediately after this, like Martin Vale's back in his office talking to his cronies, for lack of a better term, and they say that he had the Archbishop's ring in his pocket. And if you remember from when the Archbishop was killed, he was reaching for his ring when he got his hand cut off.
oh, okay.
So, like,
Yes.
that's a pretty direct, like, okay, this is
Yes.
what
This
happened.
is what happened.
Yeah. So then we find out about, which I found this really compelling, that he had in his chest carved B32.156.
Yes, the it's from the book oh my God,
Scarlet
Scarlet
Letter.
Letter.
Yeah.
Yes. Um And the passage, no man for any considerable period can wear one face to himself and another to the multitude without finally getting bewildered as to which may be the truth. Um, right there alone, it just says that that's multiple personalities, and he's going with that. He knew he was going to kill the
Yeah.
Archbishop.
Well, and that's what's so compelling because everyone thinks he's talking about the priest,
Yeah,
but he's not.
he's talking about himself.
Yeah, he's talking about himself. So, and it's interesting because Martin Vale immediately knows that he's the one that underlined it. Like he's like, "You're so full of shit." Like
Yes.
he knows for a fact that he did.
But
Um,
but Martin Bell also he said the name of the game is motive.
mhm.
He had to have a motive to, he
Which he will.
he will most definitely.
He certainly will. This is when we meet Janet. So, I mean, we met her at the beginning briefly, but then
Hmm.
now we find out she's going to be the prosecuting attorney. So,
And that's kind of wild though, because the prosecuting attorney being the lover of
mhm.
the
Yeah,
defendant. Yeah, not the defendant, the attorney,
yeah.
Richard Gere's character.
Yep. And then, we just watched a video where attorneys watched this movie to give their opinions. And I hadn't even thought about it, but they were like, yeah, the preliminary hearing happened like the day after the murder, which it did. I mean, the preliminary hearing was,
Very quick.
yeah, right then. So, after a preliminary hearing where, Martin Vale tries to ask for like an extension basically to get a psych evaluation, he just gets shot down immediately,
Yes.
which is going to be funny later on. But after this, what was his name? Gordman?
Good. I mean,
Goodman?
Goodman.
Goodman? Yeah.
Goodman,
So Goodman then goes to Aaron's house and he's attacked by someone in the house and he rips a cross earring out of his ear.
which we find out later that the person that attacks him is Alex,
Yeah.
the other altar boy.
Yeah. So Martin, Vale immediately goes to Aaron and is like, "Whose is this?" Like, and starts interrogating him and saying that he attacked this guy. Then we meet my favorite character, Molly, played by the phenomenal Frances McDormand. She is so good in this. Like and it's wild because as soon as she enters the game, it feels like we don't see Aaron without her hardly at all.
Yeah. I
Like they
mean,
spend every waking moment together.
they say that when she's questioned on the, when she was on the, when the, when he calls her to the, what's the word am I looking for?
Stan?
Stand. Yeah, that's exactly the word I'm looking for. When she calls him, when he calls her to the stand, you know, he asks specifically, how many hours have you spent with her?
60.
60 hours.
Yeah.
So really, in that text that you just said, yeah, he's always with her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Um, and so she starts like a recorded psych exam of him. And while this is going on, we see a breaking point between Vale and Janet. Um, at a bar where Vale, is really convinced he did not do it, and Janet's just kind of laughing in his face, saying, "You are not going to possibly get him off." Um, so after then we have another courtroom scene, but it's very interesting because this movie is entirely about the trial, and we
Hmm.
don't see much of the trial.
I know. I was thinking that when
Like it's like a
toward the end.
voiceover for the most part.
Yes.
But yeah, so shortly after that, we finally see a chink in the armor with Aaron because Molly asks him about Linda, his girlfriend,
Yes.
and asks him if they were having a sexual relationship. And he's like, "That's private." She's like, "Yeah, well, I'm still gonna ask you." And he says yes. And then she says, "Has he, have you been with anyone else?" No. Well, has she? And you see his face. He wants to strangle her for that question.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. You see, Edward Norton was so good in this. I
Oh,
can't get over it. Like
yeah,
I
he's
think he got best supporting actor, but I could be wrong.
there's no doubt
He
about
did
that.
not win. He was nominated.
Okay.
Hmm. I wonder who won. We're gonna Cuba Gooding Jr. for Jerry Maguire. All right.
That makes sense.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yes, that makes definite sense now.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, we finally see a little bit of a chink in the armor. So, um,
That's when he his multiple personality comes out. Well, what he says is his multiple personality.
yeah, a
Um
little bit. Yeah.
Roy.
Yeah, because he's like, I have a headache, all this stuff. And she's like, okay. And she's trying to calm him down. She walks over to the camera and she's like, "Do you know what I can do with this?" And he goes, "How the fuck should I know?"
You say that, and I made the comment to you when we were watching it that the F word is used so many times
Many
in this movie.
times.
I mean,
Many
I don't even
times.
know how many, maybe, yeah, I mean, the swearing and the brutality and everything in this movie. I mean, it was only rated R.
So then we start to kind of get a separate storyline that is pretty compelling and that I'd kind of forgot about. So Vale discovers that The DA and the Archbishop were in cahoots in business together. What do you thought of that?
Yes. No, I went and looked to see how many times the word
How many?
or the F word, and it says, oh my God, they have so many words used in this thing, but uh, 65 uses.
Wow.
Yes, and and
They
there's
couldn't
so many other words too that you don't even.
they couldn't have given us four more.
That's funny. That's
Um,
funny.
but
Yes.
but yeah, so we discover that the DA and the Archbishop were in business together, through going back to Joey. So Joey, and I can't remember like the mafia don's name, but they're telling Vale how all the property around the church is owned by the church.
Yes.
And they've been knocking all of it down and put people out of their homes. So the mafia don said he went to the archbishop and was like, "Hey, you can't do this." And the archbishop listened,
Yes.
which meant that the DA and everyone else that's partners with him is out millions and millions and millions of dollars, giving them motive. We finally have a motive.
We finally have a motive, a $60 million motive.
Yeah. Yeah, we very much have a motive. And so immediately after that, which I really enjoy, Vale goes to Shaughnessy and confronts him about it. And the movie is written so well that it makes you think this is real. Because, like, Shaughnessy tells him, you do not want to mess with the most powerful people in this town.
Um, Shaughnessy actually told um, told Martin, excuse me, it's a mistake to stick your thumb in the eye of
Mm.
the most powerful people in the city.
Hmm.
I mean,
And then he says, "Don't F with me."
yeah, another one of those
Yep.
65
Yep.
F words.
So shortly thereafter, we have more interviews, and
Hmm.
then Vale and Gordon Goodman chase down Alex, and they
Yes.
get him in like this little homeless camp. And then we find another motive,
Yes.
which is
Which is
I'm gonna let
probably,
you take that one.
oh my. Yeah. Thank you. So, they find out that the Archbishop was um was filming Linda, the girlfriend of Aaron and Alex doing things that probably, relating back to the Catholic Church, it all fits.
Which they showed us
I know they showed
like
Linda
in
like
graphic
completely.
detail.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Like this movie is like, I
very
mean,
graphic. That's why I
it,
said that NC-17 rating could have possibly come out. I mean, the
yeah.
nudity, everything that's happening. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't even remember all this, from the first time I watched this back in
Hmm.
1996.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
Oh, okay. There it is. He won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting
Oh,
Actor,
okay,
which
okay.
I mean
Which,
we all
oh,
know the Golden Globes or whatever,
yeah,
but yeah.
and he deserves. I mean, the stuttering, and I read earlier here that the the book that this is based after, that there was no stutter in the character,
Oh, he just did that.
and he won the role by coming in with a stutter,
That's
which I think
cool.
is freaking cool.
I wish I could remember. We kind of, threw this together pretty quick because we wanted to get it out there, right?
Yeah,
Keep pushing
yeah.
it back. I wanted to do a little more research because I know there were some big name actors they turned down for that role to
Oh
cast Edward
wow.
Norton. Yeah. And I can't remember who they were, but if you want to look it up, you can.
Yeah, let's do a quick IMDb search.
Yeah. Um, so, as soon as this happens, the movie, like, it's kind of like in a song when the bass drops. The bass drops of this movie and it gets wild. So Vale goes in and Molly is still interviewing Aaron, and he's like, I need the room. And Molly wants to tell, Vale everything she's seen so far.
Yes.
And he's not hearing it.
Yeah.
He
Kicking them
needs
out.
yeah, he's like you get kind of like you are to Emily in the play. You're like, just get
Yeah.
it. Just get it.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone wants, we're both in a play starting next weekend up at Stone Arch, so come check it out. Um But this guy's my future father-in-law at that. But yeah, he kicks her out and he immediately just grills Aaron. He's like, I've seen the tape. Like, you need to stop lying to me. Like, I know you underlined the book, stop lying to me. And Edward Norton's transition right here. The only thing I can think that rivals it is James McAvoy in the movie Split. Have you seen that?
I have not seen Split.
So Split is about split personalities.
Yes, yes.
It's a horror movie. James McAvoy is unbelievably amazing in that. But the two times I've seen, I think it's shoot, something identity disorder, partial PID or BID. I can't remember. I'll look it up then. But to see that on screen is so crazy because so I just went and watched Sinners the other day, and if you want to hear a full review of that, I'm doing that tomorrow with the Forest Film Club. We're gonna do a full review of Sinners. But
Awesome.
you see someone like Michael B. Jordan in that movie, he's playing two different characters. That's impressive. What's more impressive is to be one character playing two personalities.
So to go back to the people that got turned down for the role, so Leonardo DiCaprio and Will Wheaton
Yes.
actually turned it down.
Yes, he had just come out of Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
a fantastic movie.
Oh, he was
Oh
amazing
my
in that.
God,
Yeah,
what's
he
he
was
think Gilbert
amazing.
Grape?
Can you imagine though? He would have been because Edward Norton is supposed to be 19 in this.
Yes.
Edward Norton has looked the same his entire life.
So he couldn't have been. Yeah, exactly. So Edward Norton was born in 1969,
Yeah, so he was
and he's
30.
5 years older than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, he was almost 30 when this came
Yeah,
out.
yeah, exactly. Well, I was 22, so he'd have been 27
Yeah.
at the time of this movie.
Yeah, and he's playing
So
a 19-year-old. And
the
he looks young, but he just looks like Edward Norton.
two big names that got turned down though was Matt Damon
Oh.
and James Vanderbeek.
I think Matt Damon, that would have either been right around Good Will
That
Hunting
would have been right
or
around Good Will Hunting with Robin Williams.
yeah.
Yes,
I think
fantastic movie.
I think any of the three of them would have been great, but I'm very happy it happened to Edward Norton because we might not have an Edward Norton if this movie doesn't happen.
Exactly, because this movie put him on the map.
Yeah, this movie.
Yes.
And for your first role to be
Oh, to do
this,
this,
yeah, like I know
phenomenal.
I know there's award shows now that are like best, first production, first things like that. I think that's
Yeah.
mostly directors, but if there was an award for that,
Oh, he would definitely want it.
oh my gosh, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
No doubt. Best newcomer of the year, absolutely.
Yep.
So anyhow, he has a switch right here. He's pounding his head against the wall, and then he just turns around. He's instantly Roy, and you can tell, and he attacks Vale and
Yes.
kind of kicks his ass. Like,
Very much so.
and the important part for this, and I understand why it happened, but it became a detriment then to the trial, and why we saw what we saw later, because Vale turns the camera off.
Yes. Yes. But you know what we did see later, and Molly says that she doesn't have a recording on them.
Hmm.
But in actuality, there is a recording because Richard Gere, Martin Bell, is actually watching it
Right.
later on.
The earlier crack,
Yeah,
though.
the earlier one where he
Yes.
actually initially turns into him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Where he's like, "What the fuck" or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is, and we can jump ahead a little bit. That is when Vale understands what he has to do.
Yes.
He has to make him crack in court. So, but yeah. So right then, Roy confesses to the murder.
Yes.
Roy says, "I did it. He came to me crying. He can't do anything. I'm the one that killed him." I mean, basically, the doctor concludes that he has, oh, it's DID, dissociative identity
Yes.
disorder. Yeah, DID. And, he's saying it's caused by years of abuse from his father. And, that's really cool. I don't love, I say this in every podcast and I really mean it. I don't love the tell, don't show aspect. Cause we don't really see him talk about his dad. All he does is say his mom is dead and his dad was abusive, but he doesn't like go into it. Clearly in their conversations, you can assume they've gone into it
Yeah.
because
Can
then
we,
she's explaining it all to Vale.
yes. Can we skip back? Just hop back here for 1 second.
Do it.
When they were in the room together, when he did unveil his personality to Martin Vale.
Unveil to Vale. I like
I
that.
had to throw that in there. So Roy said to Martin, he goes, Aaron couldn't kick his own ass.
Hmm.
And Martin comes back with, so Aaron did kill him. And Roy comes back with, Aaron doesn't have the guts to do anything. I killed him.
Yep.
You
Which
know,
which is the not the last time we'll hear this.
no,
Not the last time we'll hear this because yeah, I mean, this is a movie reaction podcast. If you haven't seen Primal Fear, it's been out for nearly 30 years. We're gonna spoil it. So, the whole twist of this movie is that Edward Norton, Roy, has been faking it this whole time.
yes.
But I don't entirely believe that he's faking it.
Uh,
Because I truly believe just because Roy has completely taken over, I think Aaron is who he was born as. He was Aaron
yeah.
until the trauma.
Well, I think until his dad started abusing him
Yeah,
and stuff like that. We find out that later.
right. But that's what happens is, people with DID, something happens and they
It's
bottle
that.
that person up inside themselves
Hmm.
and something else takes over.
And Roy has just been taking over for this whole entire time.
Right.
And Roy knew how Aaron was,
Yeah.
so he could just act like him.
Right. Right. But yeah, I'm not convinced, and I would love a follow-up to this movie 30 years later. Do it better,
Oh
do
man.
it better than Beetlejuice. Let's go One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Let's go to the prison with Roy, and it's 30 years later and he's still there and he's Aaron again.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be. So he wouldn't be in prison though.
Well, no, not prison, but like the
The
psychiatric
psychiatric
hospital
ward,
or whatever.
they probably
Yeah.
leave him out. Like
I feel like he's
I don't
not
know.
gonna get let out.
Maybe
I
not.
like, and that's why I want to see this though. That's why this is so captivating. When a movie wants you to have more,
Yeah,
I want it. But
most definitely.
don't do it like Beetlejuice. Don't give me a crap sequel. Like, please give me something good if you're gonna make it, or just don't make it. But yeah,
So
in my head, they would make another one where we see that he's actually nuts. Because you gotta think like Vale, right? This seems like the first time he's ever lost without losing, if that makes sense.
yes,
Because he's actually wrong and it
yeah.
kills him.
Hmm.
Like it wrecks him.
Well, I don't think he's wrecked quite yet.
No, but at the end of the
Oh,
film.
at the end of the film,
Yeah.
yes, most
No,
definitely,
yeah,
he
yeah,
is
yeah.
destroyed at
Yeah.
the end of the film, and that would probably push a guy to like quit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. So we didn't say earlier, and I should have, part of the deal when he got Joey, right? Joey off.
Joey.
When he got Joey off, the deal with Shaughnessy was he needs to leave town. Joey didn't leave town.
Exactly.
And now we see right when Vale is watching the video and he sees the snap, he gets a phone call and he heads over to the water and we find that Joey is murdered.
Yes, and obviously we know who did it.
Yes, we're very well aware of
Or
who
at least who had it done. They
Yes.
probably paid somebody off to do it.
Yeah. Um, but this leads to probably the most compelling part besides the twist in the entire movie. Vale then calls Shaughnessy as his witness.
Yes. Yeah,
And
I forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really did, and you know, um, just skipping back to what Molly had said to Martin, um, when he said, he knows that Aaron did it. He knows that, I mean, he knows that he killed him and stuff.
Hmm.
And she's like, it's not a criminal we are dealing with.
It's a
He's
sick
a
kid.
sick kid.
He's a sick kid.
I mean, going back to what you said, I think that, yeah, he probably did change at 12 years old or
Yeah.
13 or whatever when his dad, when he lost his mom, and
Yeah.
his dad probably went on a drinking binge. It's all speculation, but
Sure.
you know,
Yeah, but no, I mean that's what I see for sure. So yeah, this is a really captivating moment. I would just say go watch it. You should definitely watch this movie if you hadn't.
most definitely.
But Vale goes in and he's just accusing Shaughnessy of all these things. And one thing I didn't love that I wish they had gone further, but I don't think the judge would have let them. They have someone in the what do you call them? The crowd, I guess. Like we'll just call them like the spectators.
Okay.
They have the guy who had gone to Shaughnessy years before saying that he was being abused by the Archbishop. He's sitting
Yes.
right there in the crowd.
You know, even thinking back to that, Martin Bell, he's talking to the reporter
Hmm.
in the one bar scene, whatever, and he says that he used to work for Shaughnessy.
Hmm.
He was, the prosecuting attorney,
Yep.
and illegal things were happening.
Yep.
I mean,
And this just proves it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this just proves it. So, it's a way of casting doubt, right? Because he says it gave you and all your friends 60 million reasons to kill the Archbishop.
Exactly.
And then Shaughnessy, I forget what he calls him. He calls him a mother effer or something. And Vale leans in, he goes, "That's for Joey."
That's for sure.
Yeah, because no matter what his clients have done, Vale is super loyal to
Oh
them.
yeah, most definitely.
Super loyal to them.
Yep.
But yeah, so in that moment, the judge in this was very good, but man, did she take a lot of liberties against Vale. This is not the first
Oh,
time Vale.
most definitely.
This is not the first time Vale has been in her courtroom,
No,
and she does not like this guy.
she doesn't like him at all.
Yeah, so she
No.
holds him in contempt of court.
Yes, $10,000.
$10,000 fine. Yeah. And she's talking about disbarring him. She's talking about kicking him off the trial. Like, she's one of those judges that's like, this is my courtroom. I'm going to take charge, which
Yep.
you see at the very beginning. And she did a very good job because everyone's standing and she's just like, sit down.
Yes.
Like,
You know who she reminds me of, really?
huh.
I mean, the take charge thing, Judge Judy.
No, I was going to say Judge Judy. Yeah. She's just not as funny as Judge Judy.
No, just easily. Um, so when Goodman, um, when he finally finds out that he wants Vel wants him to take that tape
Hmm.
to the to the prosecuting attorney, Janet, he says, um, Martin Val goes, Aaron is innocent. Roy
Hmm.
is guilty. Goodman comes back with, this kid doesn't need a lawyer. He needs an exorcist.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought that was so funny.
and he had a lot of good one-liners too, because
Yes.
he's talking about so the whole time Vale is not trying to say that Aaron wasn't there. He's trying to say there was a third person in the room because that's what Aaron
Yes.
tells him.
Yes.
And that's his whole defense. And then we say this, and Goodman's like, "Well, yeah, you
Well,
wanted a third person, you got him. Now you've got three, four, five, six people."
I know.
So right after he interviews Shaughnessy, which I think was the very first witness the defense called. The second one is Dr. Arrington. It's Molly.
Yes.
And her testimony is leaning too close to an insanity plea, which I really appreciated about the video we watched about the attorneys. Because the judge dismisses all of her stuff, saying, we can't have these, it's too late. And they said that is a perfectly reasonable expert witness testimony. Like that's testimony you need. Like,
Yes.
but yeah,
And,
she struck it from the courtroom.
well, and did you mention? I was just lost in my notes there for a sec, but the real lawyers that we watched afterwards, they mentioned that
Yeah.
that should have been the only
It was
piece
really
of
the only
evidence that
expert
was
testimony.
expert testimony that
Yeah.
was even in
It
there.
was really the only one because they had like the medical examiner and other people come in and say things matter of factly that
Yes,
were things that should have been objectionable. Like he talked about how he said without a shadow of a doubt he was defending himself from the attacks. What he
yes,
should have said was because of my expertise in this, the wounds on his arms would lend to the idea that he was defending himself.
yes,
But you cannot speak matter of factly in that way without having video evidence or something like that.
yeah.
So, yeah, I like that. I mean, we talk about the lawyers and talk about how, they kept debunking things in this. They still gave it a B
Oh,
plus,
he
I
gave it a
think.
B plus rating.
Yeah.
The real lawyers,
Yeah.
and
And they even said, like, and this might be part of it, their bias, right? Because no matter
they
what,
liked the movie.
your bias and everything, yeah, they're like, this is probably the least like courtroom effective movie that I've ever watched that I really liked.
But I mean, just going back to what you said earlier, it is a courtroom drama,
Right.
but there wasn't a lot in the courtroom.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, like everything combined.
Most of the trial is a voiceover,
Yeah.
which I didn't love that part because we didn't see anything either. Like they're just
Yeah.
showing us shots of the city as
Yes.
they talk over it. Like give me something else. Like give me anything. I don't know. That was the only part of the movie I was like, I don't really care for how that part was done.
I don't know. We skipped over. I think that maybe we skipped a little bit. Um, but back to the Shaughnessy thing,
Hmm.
he wanted Janet to destroy the tape, and like
Yes.
later on, you'll find out there's a comment, that she gives back to him.
Hmm.
But
Well, yeah, because we actually didn't even talk about that. So after Martin finds out there's a tape, he actually goes to the crime scene and found the tape
yes.
and took it, which it is not going to be admissible in court. It is not going to be admissible in court. But the movie is so smart because they made it work because he does not present it as evidence. He
Exactly.
sends it to the prosecutor. And
Yes.
he's like, you basically have to present this as evidence now.
Yes.
And yeah, Shaughnessy tells her to destroy it. And he says you should have done what I did and destroyed it. So that tells me he sent it to multiple
Multiple
people.
people. Yes,
Yeah.
and he has a copy of it too. I
Yeah,
mean,
of course.
regardless,
Of course.
because after she had brought it out to the courtroom,
Yeah.
that's when she looks at Shaughnessy then and says, "Thanks for the advice."
Right. Right. Um so yeah, then right after that, right after we have the scene of them interviewing the attorney. Vale tells Aaron that he's going to be reprimand. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So then Aaron is put on the witness stand.
Yes, yes, Aaron.
It's our final end to the thing. He's put on the witness stand, which I found very, very compelling because the whole point Vale had the whole time to Aaron was do not speak ever.
Well, he did say, "Do not speak unless I tell you to."
Right. But he even pleaded the fifth on the charges,
Yes.
which that was awesome. Like I guarantee that happens. Like that was such a bold move. Like even the judge kind of smirked when it happened. But yeah, so then he pulls Aaron up on to the witness stand. And he starts interviewing him, and Aaron's doing his whole stuttering, carrying on thing. And Vale grabs the mic and tells him to stop being a little girl, which
Yeah.
is exactly what Roy said to Aaron as he was transitioning from Aaron into Roy in the scene
Yes.
where he snaps. So you know that we're coming to a boiling point. But what Vale does is he's like, I'm gonna make Janet push him over the
Oh
edge.
yeah.
So he stops his questioning, and Janet goes in hard,
Hardcore.
hard. And the things she says, dude, like that was aggressive. Like she probably should have been stopped by the judge, but I think the judge was so enthralled by what was happening, she just let it roll.
She left it roll.
She's like,
Let
she
us.
she's like, "Did you enjoy being forced to have sex on camera?" And he's like, and he's trying to defend the archbishop and stuff, still, going
Yeah,
for
yeah.
he needed it, he loved me, all these things. And she's like, "Do you know what I would do if someone did that to me? I would stab them 78
Eight
times.
times.
I would cut their hand off. I would gouge their eyes out." But that's just me. And then she goes to turn around, and then we get, and you said you hadn't seen it. A couple years ago, we had that guy who attacked the judge
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
in an actual trial. Like, and
Yes, that is so
you,
funny.
you being a football guy would love it because what they did is they took a video of Troy Polamalu jumping over the huddle. They made that. Yeah, they made that guy do it.
Oh, that's
Uh,
so funny.
oh, it was so good. But yeah, so Janet goes to walk away and Roy comes out and he goes, "Where are you going, bitch?" And he just jumps over and
Jumps
he had
over.
attacked her.
Well, he punched. Did he punch Richard Gere? Is that who he
Yes,
hit?
yeah, he
Yeah,
punched
he
him.
punched him.
Yep,
Grabbed hold of her, started choking her out.
yep.
Yes.
Yep, and then they get him arrested and get him down. And I've never I understand this happens a lot in trials where the judge is like, "Jury, please dismiss what you just saw." Like I sat in on a trial where a guy received stolen property and
Yeah.
admitted to doing so in the trial, but the judge didn't like how it happened, so she's like, "You need to strike that from the record." Just because it's not in the paperwork, the jury heard it.
The jury heard it,
The
and
jury saw it. It's going to affect what they say and do.
and I believe that's why Martin, got all this stuff in. Even if it was dismissed, it would show that Aaron wasn't such a bad person,
Yeah.
that it was his multiple personality
And that's
disorder.
that's one of my favorite things about courtroom dramas. Like you see it a lot in like Law and Order SVU, where the lawyer will say something, or like Alex Cahill in Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh,
They will say something so the jury hears it, and then they're like, "I withdraw my statement." You know, like
they already heard it.
they
I
already
mean,
heard it,
I
dude.
I don't care who's telling me not to say something or not to believe something.
Right.
If you hear it,
You heard it.
it's in your
It's
mind.
there.
It's there. It's
You
in the
have
back of
it.
your thoughts.
Yep. You
You
have
have to
it.
bring it into text,
So
context.
that immediately after that, the courtroom clears out. We go into the judge's chambers, and Janet is distraught. Vale seems kind of upset, but he's not. He got exactly what he wanted, and
Exactly.
the judge is like, "I'm dismissing the trial. I am going to go plea of insanity, and we're going to send him to a hospital."
Yes. And Val agrees,
Yep.
and Janet makes even if she wanted, it could not be retried.
hmm
So it doesn't matter to her,
And
whatever the judge
and no
wanted.
one wants it to be. She said,
Mm-mm.
she's like, no one else wants to take this on. She's like, I'm losing my job. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm gonna lose my job. So Vale tries to comfort her, it doesn't work, right? And then he's like, I gotta go talk to my client. And he goes to talk to Aaron. He tells Aaron, like, hey, we did it. You're going to go to the psychiatric hospital. You're going to be treatment. You're going to get released. And then he goes to walk out, and we get one of the Aaron finally sorry, Roy, I guess,
Roy.
finally screwed up. And he tells Vale, he's like, hey, tell the
Miss
prosecuting,
Venable.
yeah, tell Miss Venable that I'm sorry and I hope her neck is okay.
Yes.
And at first, Vale's just like, all right, I will. And he starts to walk away. And then
He realizes.
light bulb.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's like, what did you just say?
I think the first time I watched this, it was like when he said that, I was like, "Oh my God, I
Yeah.
can't believe that just happened."
Yeah. Because again, this is a movie that this is a true twist,
Oh, major twist.
but in the best way possible. So there's a
Mhm.
there's a difference between twists and just like I don't even know what the other word for it would be, but like you can't have a twist. It's like, did you see Conclave last year?
I did not.
Okay, so Conclave, which is crazy, we're talking about it today because the Pope died yesterday, so there's going to be a conclave. Um, so you know what a conclave is, right? Or no?
Now refresh.
It's when everyone, like all the dioceses and stuff, come together to elect a new pope once the old pope died.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's what that whole movie is about. Is the pope died and they're
Gotcha,
electing a new
gotcha.
one. So we have that moment. But in Conclave, there's a true twist. So if you haven't seen Conclave yet, turn this off. We're almost done anyhow. But there's a huge twist at the end that there's barely any setup for at all.
Okay.
They don't really set anything up, and then they just hit you with it, and it's like it leaves you leaving the movie like, what the hell did I just watch? Why did that happen? With this, it's like, oh,
Wow.
that makes everything else make sense.
And you mentioned this earlier, but watching it the second, third time, you can go back and say, "Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
right there's
Like
that
the ring.
part,
Like I
the
said about the
ring."
ring. Yeah.
And there's so many other things,
Yeah.
throughout the whole entire movie.
Yeah. So as soon as Vale walks back in, he's like, what did you just say? Roy starts clapping. Yeah. He's like, you did it. He's like, you got me. He's like, basically, he's like, I've been, lying the entire time. And then we do get a twist that I didn't see coming, and he says that he murdered Linda.
Yes.
He's like, I
So
had to kill Linda.
if he would have said that to anybody else, there would have been a second trial.
Yeah.
But since he said it to his attorney,
After he's already been dismissed from a murder case.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
That
but
was,
still, it's attorney-client privilege.
yeah.
I don't know how that would go over. He might be disbarred if he came out with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. That's the big question of, and he talks about this movie speaks a lot about morality, I think,
Yeah,
because it's talking about like what's right versus what you should do. And it toes that line. Like Vale seems to toe that line a lot. I would assume that he's a very different attorney after this. I
you know,
really would.
um, way back in the movie there, look, we there was a comment, about I think it was around the same time that he said about working for Shaughnessy or whatever, and he said, usually you stay there, you become a judge or whatever. He goes, why become an umpire
Hmm.
when you can play ball?
Yeah.
And just with Martin Vale, I mean, I think that he loves the intensity of the courtroom and
Yep.
he just loves to be in the limelight.
Yep.
And
Well, and it speaks to that morality, right? Because how everyone else, well, I shouldn't say everyone else, but like Janet, why Janet believes he left is because he just wants to be on the front cover of magazines, and he just wants to be, kind of like Casey Anthony's attorney, where he just wants to be this dude who's super renowned now because of what he does. When really, I don't know if it's that. That might have been part of it, but I really think he wanted to get out of that corrupt crap and start doing his own thing.
yeah, he might have been, but I mean,
There's
I,
also so much. I mean, he even talks about it. Prosecuting attorneys make like 40 grand a year,
yeah,
and
the money.
yeah, this dude's just rolling in money. So
Exactly.
you don't
That's
know.
why he can play pro. I mean, that he can do it pro bono, at least
Yeah,
this one.
yep. But we do get this second time where you were talking about it earlier, where Roy's like, you just don't get it, because at this point, Vale says, so there never was a Roy, and Roy's like, I thought you were smarter than that. He goes, there was never an Aaron.
Yep.
Aaron's not real. Like, he goes, I don't care who you heard it from. It's the same story.
Yes.
Like,
Roy or Aaron doesn't
yeah,
matter.
such a good moment. So yeah, he admits to killing Linda, and then Vale just leaves, and it's very similar to the Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal putting
Yeah,
his face through the bars and like yelling out to them. And these movies came out pretty close at the same time, so I'm sure that was
pretty
an
close.
inspiration for this. Um, but yeah, Roy is like, "Oh, you're my buddy now. You helped get me off. You did all these things. You'll be all right. You'll be fine." And you just see Vale leave and he's distraught. And I was telling you, and I know you said you haven't seen it. It's the dichotomy between it and 12 Angry Men is crazy. I think that, so 12 Angry Men, Primal Fear, and To Kill a Mockingbird, in my opinion, are the three most compelling courtroom films we've ever had. Um, in uh in 12 Angry Men, we have at the end, that focuses on the jurors. And
Yeah.
as one of the jurors is leaving, the point of that movie is there's a kid who everyone in the jury except this one guy is trying to say he was guilty of the crime. So the entire movie, we're in the jury deliberation room, and what they're doing is, he's trying to say there's a chance he didn't do it. And so at the end, again, spoilers for a movie that's been out since 1940, um, he we get a sense of winning because at the end of the movie they're all leaving the court and they got the kid off and you feel like you won. In this, no one won. Like there's no winner in this. Like there's absolutely no winner. And the lawyers that we were talking about said, well, the only person that was truly right was Shaughnessy. But Shaughnessy is like the villain of this other than Aaron or Roy. So yeah, you just
Yeah.
it's a sense of dread, and yeah, it left you wanting more, and I loved it. I love this
Yeah,
movie.
I love this movie too.
Yeah, like this movie is easily a 9 out of 10 for me.
Oh,
If it
easy.
yeah,
Easy.
if it wasn't for like I said, the voiceover with the court scene, I probably would have given it a perfect 10. But yeah, it's a 9 for me. So
Yeah, at least a nine. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the voiceover too much. I think they should have um, focused more on the courtroom.
yeah, I agree.
I mean, but movie in general is really, really good.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean,
Phenomenal.
we've talked about it, but I do this on every
Yeah.
show. You would recommend it for people to watch?
Oh, most definitely.
Nice.
Most definitely.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we basically spoiled it for you. It's considered, if not the best, one of the greatest plot twists in a film ever. So, and you were telling me it's a book, which I thought I knew. I want to read the book.
Yeah, the book, and it says in the book, just like I said, Edward Norton got the character because he came up with the stutter,
Right.
which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I would have never thought about doing that. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, no, Edward Norton killed it. I'm so happy you did because then we got one of my favorite films of all time, The Fight Club, which, in that he's playing a dude in two personalities too. You just don't see it, right? For the most part. No, this movie rips. So good. So definitely check it out. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No, no, that was great.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, this has been the Real Friends podcast. Check us out on X, TikTok, YouTube. Put the video out here in a couple days. But yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Most definitely.
we'll have to figure out the next. I think the next one we're doing is Final
Final
Destination.
destinations, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready.
So the Final Destination Bloodlines is coming out soon. We are going to do a everything you should know about Final Destination episode first. And then he and I are going to go see Final Destination together. So very different than this. Very different. Very, very different. And what did you and I just go see together? Oh, Death of a Unicorn.
Death of a Unicorn.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah,
It
it was
was it
fine.
was fun. I
Yeah.
mean,
The guys over on the Forest Film Club did a full review, so go check that out.
awesome.
But yeah, like I said, we're gonna review Sinners on the Forest Film Club. And then I'm not sure what the next episode is gonna be on here. I've got a couple planned, but we'll see. So, go in the comments, send us an email. I'll put all of our links on here for you to see. They're all over our social media. Let us know the next movie you want us to release. But this has been the Real Friends Podcast, and we'll see you next time.